Welcome back to another episode of Talking Sports. I'm your host, Andrew. Hope you all have had a really good couple of weeks. It's been a while since we've posted an episode on this show, but me and Miles have both just been so busy. As you can tell, he is not here once again, so I'll be leading the show once again. But I'm glad to be back. I believe the last time I talked to you guys on this show was around Thanksgiving, actually. So it's been at least 2 weeks since I've talked to you guys. But here we are back again with another episode. It's going to be episode number 33. I can't believe it's only 33 episodes. I feel like it should be a lot more than just 33 episodes. But anyway, got some stories I got to talk to you guys about today. Got some MLB offseason news that I want to talk to you guys about because we are well into the MLB offseason. We've had a couple big signings and moves going on the last couple of days. So I'm glad I'm going to be back doing those. Got some stories about the NBA. We also have some football news got to cover, especially the college football playoffs with them kicking off very, very soon. The NFL have some recaps from week 13 and 14. And we have a QAQB finally back. And this week might be a very big surprise for this week's QAQB. But first, starting out with the NBA, we've had some big rumors going around recently about potential trades for Bucks star forward Giannis Antetokounmpo. He recently went down with a calf strain, so he's going to be out for a couple of weeks. And even before that game where he got hurt, he was already talking with the front office of the Bucks about a possible trade because right now, the Bucks right now are in a pretty interesting position, very underwhelming, I think is the correct word here. They are outside the playoffs right now, not even in a play-in position right now, which is definitely not what you want to see, especially when the Bucks invested a lot of money in guys like Miles Turner. We traded away Chris Middleton for Kyle Kuzma, who has not been as good as previous years. Gary Trent Jr. we brought back has not been performing the same way. We just got KPJ, Kevin Porter Jr. back, but right now the Bucks are a very disappointing team, and Giannis has been having conversations with the front office, like I already mentioned, but I'm going to be very interested to see what his market may look like, especially with the Oklahoma City Thunder going off this season. I mean, they're right now in line to eclipse the 2016 or I think 2017, 2018 Golden State Warriors team when they won the title back then. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see if Giannis gets traded and what a team is willing to dish out for him. Because right now, yeah, I don't think any team can really stop the Oklahoma City Thunder right now. But as a Bucks fan, I'd hate to see Giannis go, but maybe it's time. It's definitely tough to say that, but I'm kind of in that point now where something's got to change for the Bucks, and every franchise in the NBA goes through this. We just got to wait and see how these rumors will turn out and if Giannis gets traded or not. Moving on, still in the NBA, the Cavs were fined for not playing Darius Garland in a national TV game. We've seen this a couple times now, and this is the first time I can remember in a little bit where a team has not played a star player in a national TV game. So I know that's maybe happened before, but that definitely caught my eye when I was looking through some news in the NBA. And LeBron's double-digit streak has ended. LeBron's 1,297 consecutive games of scoring at least 10 points ended last week on December 4th. He actually dished it out to Rui Hachimura for the game-winning three. Very interesting that LeBron did this, but again, maybe his last season, his streak coming to an end. Again, 1,297 consecutive regular season games ending on December 4th. Started all the way back on January 6th, 2007, and ending on December 4th, 2025. So a very historic streak, surpassing Michael Jordan. Congratulations to LeBron on such a milestone. We'll see how the rest of the season turns out for the Los Angeles Lakers. Chris Paul was also released by the Los Angeles Clippers, which makes no sense to me. I mean, this is Chris Paul's final year in the NBA, and this was supposed to be his farewell tour with the Clippers, the team where it all started for him, but now he's actually out of that team. And the Clippers right now have been very disappointing, like the Bucks have an aging roster led by James Harden and not very much else at this point. So, very surprising to see Chris Paul get released. I hope he finds another home to continue his farewell tour. I see a lot of people are kind of pointing towards the Oklahoma City Thunder, even though he only spent a year with that team. But right now, with the Thunder being a really solid title contender, maybe Chris Paul could go get a championship, and he can kind of infuse some of that veteran leadership that he had with Oklahoma City back in, I believe that was 2019 and 2020. Man, that was a long time ago. Geez, that's kind of wild to think about 2020 being so long ago. But anyway, sad to hear that Chris Paul was released by the Clippers. Hopefully, he finds a new home. Now, moving on to another story real quick, not really in the NBA, but on the F1 side of things, Lando Norris has won his first F1 championship, even though Max Verstappen did win Abu Dhabi in a close championship race between Lando Norris, his teammate of Oscar Piastri for McLaren, and Max Verstappen with Red Bull. It was really close all the way up to the end, even though Max did win Abu Dhabi. Lando Norris did finish with enough points ahead of Max Verstappen. So, valiant effort for Max Verstappen, but congratulations to Lando Norris on winning his first F1 championship. Moving on over to the MLB side things before we get to the big offseason moves that I have missed, and I'm going to recap those real quick. The Colorado Rockies have been making some new moves as of late. First, they have named Warren Schaefer as their full-time manager for 2026, after promoting him from his interim role after Bud Black was fired during the season. And Josh Barnes has been hired as the GM for the Colorado Rockies, and he has spent the last couple seasons on the Los Angeles Dodgers front office team in those past couple years where they've been to the World Series. So, very good hire by the Colorado Rockies, bringing in Josh Barnes to be the GM to help rebuild that roster, because right now the Colorado Rockies don't have a lot going right now. But with keeping Warren Schaefer, I mean, I don't think of really anybody else that could possibly be an upgrade over him. Maybe Don Mattingly, because I know he is available. He was fired by the Blue Jays as their bench coach. And getting Josh Barnes, a guy that was working for the World Series champion, back-to-back World Series champion, might I add. Yeah, I think the Rockies did some good things, adding those two guys to their staff. All right, but now let's go ahead and look at the MLB offseason news that I've missed over the past, I would say, 12 days at this point. So I'm going to be going off of what Jeff Passan has recorded via ESPN, the MLB insider for ESPN. So first, Ryan Helsley has signed with the Baltimore Orioles in a 2-year contract. I believe it is somewhere in the ballpark of $28 million per season, so $14 million per year. There will be an opt-out after the first season, and he will most likely be either the closer or the eighth inning guy that he can pair with Felix Bautista in that Orioles bullpen. And the Orioles need some pitching, especially in the bullpen. So I think this move is pretty good for the Baltimore Orioles. Even though Ryan Helsley does give up the home runs a good amount of time, Ryan Helsley, though, one of the best fastballs in the game, gets up to 100 plus miles an hour, has an interesting arm angle too. So I think that definitely makes him an attractive target. So Ryan Helsley to the Orioles, I think, is a pretty good move for the team and the player. Next up, Devin Williams signed with the New York Mets on a 3-year, $50 million contract. He will be going back to the back end of the bullpen as well. No opt-outs or options in this deal, so it's a straight-up 3-year, $50 million contract. I believe that will be a little bit more than $18 million a season. And for a guy, Devin Williams has not been as elite as he has been, especially in 2025, was not his best season with the Yankees. Gave up a lot of home runs, struggling with command as well. The Mets, though, definitely need someone to help out in that bullpen, at least on the pitching side of things. Devin Williams is a quality arm in that regard, I guess. And heading over to the Mets Stadium in Citi Field, definitely a more pitcher-friendly ballpark than Yankee Stadium will be. So we'll see how that signing goes for Devin Williams. Alek Manoah signed with the Los Angeles Angels, a former All-Star with the Blue Jays back in 2022. He signed a $1.95 million contract for 1 season. He will be hopefully able to land on the Angels' opening day roster next season. He's going to be contending for a rotation spot, which is not very deep overall for the Los Angeles Angels. So hopefully Alek Manoah can get back to his form. He's dealt with injuries and struggles over the past couple of seasons. Maybe heading out to the Angels will be a change of scenery, and maybe that will help him regain his form. Speaking of the Blue Jays, actually, they signed right-hander Cody Ponce, the KBO MVP. That's the Korean baseball organization, and he went 17-1 with a 1.89 ERA and struck out 252 batters in 180 innings. So this is pending a physical, but it will be a 3-year, $30 million contract, so $10 million per season. I think this is a really good move for the Blue Jays, and they're adding to a rotation which is already pretty solid overall. You have guys like Jose Barrios, Trey Savage already in that rotation as well, and now you just added Dylan Cease as well. Cody Ponce can definitely help add some depth to that rotation for the Blue Jays, who are, I think, learning from the Los Angeles Dodgers, who basically had unlimited pitching in that World Series. So we'll see how that works out for the Blue Jays. Then we have another trade to announce between the Red Sox and the Pirates. The Red Sox are acquiring right-handed starter Johan Oviedo and will send Yostinson Garcia. He's an outfielding prospect for the Red Sox, has been a top 100 prospect for this season. Actually made his debut for the Red Sox earlier this season. It is a 5-player trade, but I won't name the rest of the players involved because they really don't matter. It's a couple minor league guys involved in that as well. So the Red Sox adding some more depth to that rotation as well. I think they're kind of taking some notes from the Blue Jays, adding a lot of depth to their rotation. And the Red Sox, led by Garrett Crochet, they had also added Sonny Gray early in the offseason. They're in the rumors for possibly adding Tarek Skubal via a trade this season or this offseason. So getting Johan Oviedo, a very solid starter. And the Red Sox overall have a lot of starters in that system. They have Tanner Houck, who is a former All-Star. They also have Cutter Crawford. They got Brian Bea, who looked really good towards the end of the season. Now adding Johan Oviedo, who did beat up on some teams with the Pirates this past season. I would know because I watched the Pirates beat up on the Brewers a couple times with Johan Oviedo on the mound. So the Red Sox adding some more depth to that starting rotation. Next up, Kyle Schwarber re-signed with the Philadelphia Phillies on a 5-year, $150 million contract, so $30 million a season. He was an MVP runner-up this season, one of the better home run hitters in baseball this year, was the home run derby, or actually the All-Star Game MVP this year with that incredible swing-off, which was really, really cool. So Kyle Schwarber reuniting with the Phillies looking to stay competitive in an AL East that is pretty weak, actually, if you look at it. I mean, the Mets had an underwhelming end to their season. The Braves were not as good this past year. The Marlins are still trying to figure things out. And then the Nationals, yeah, who knows if they're going to ever be good again overall. Moving on, we have some big news from a couple days ago. The Los Angeles Dodgers signed closer Edwin Diaz, formerly of the New York Mets. This was a big move. The Dodgers having some struggles in the bullpen as of late, now adding a closer in Edwin Diaz, who has been one of the better closers in baseball for the past season. He got a 3-year, $69 million contract, which is the new record AAV average annual value, I'm pretty sure, for relievers, which with a with $23 million a season. So very big contract for the Dodgers, getting Edwin Diaz to hopefully address something, an issue that they really have in the bullpen. We also have the Los Angeles Angels acquiring Vaughn Grissom from the Boston Red Sox, just a straight 1-for-1 swap with another infielding or an outfield prospect. The Detroit Tigers re-signed closer Kyle Finnegan on a 2-year, $19 million contract, which I think is a really good deal for a guy like Kyle Finnegan, who I think is one of the better relievers in baseball or at least these past couple seasons. And as well, they also added, I'm pretty sure they added, excuse me, Kenley Jansen earlier today as well. So Kenley Jansen, a former reliever of the year, going to be joining the Detroit Tigers as well in that bullpen. Then we had another big signing. The Baltimore Orioles signed first baseman Pete Alonso to a 5-year, $155 million contract. This is a big move, especially for Mets fans who have now lost both Edwin Diaz and Pete Alonso in one offseason. Pete Alonso is signing with the Orioles on a 5-year, $155 million contract, which I was thinking that Pete Alonso was going to want a lot more. I was thinking maybe a longer contract, maybe 6 years, and definitely somewhere in the range of maybe 200 to maybe even $300 million. At least that's what he was wanting, according to his agent. But now the Orioles continue to add to a really, really good infield led by now Pete Alonso. You also have Adley Rutschman behind the plate. You have Ryan Mountcastle, who I think is one of the better first basemen in baseball. I also think Jackson Holliday could take a leap next season. You already have Gunnar Henderson, who's one of the best shortstops in baseball. You have Jordan Westberg, who's a really solid defensive third baseman. You have Kobe Mayo, who is a big power bat on that third base and kind of quarter infield spots. And then you have several other infielders as well that the Orioles have. So a very deep infield now with Pete Alonso is definitely going to help that team out heading into next season. Moving on, the Atlanta Braves signed Mike Yastrzemski to a 2-year, $23 million contract with a 3rd-year club option. The Atlanta Braves adding to that offense with Mike Yastrzemski, who's been one of the more solid outfielding hitters in the past couple of years. Also is pretty good with the glove as well. The Braves also signed Robert Suarez to be their closer for next season on a 3-year, $45 million contract, helping to add to that bullpen. And then yesterday, the Kansas City Royals extended Michael Garcia, their starting third baseman, with a 5-year extension with a club option for next season. Garcia, he's only 25 years old, so this will take him at least to his age 30 season. He won a Gold Glove this year and will remain alongside Bobby Witt Jr., who also has a big, long extension to that team. So the left side of that infield for the Kansas City Royals is looking very, very good. Moving on, the Blue Jays added to their bullpen once again, signing Tyler Rogers away from the New York Mets. Man, the Mets just really can't catch a break in this offseason. 3 years, $37 million with a 4-year vesting option as well. And Tyler Rogers has a really weird arm angle, kind of basically throws it underhand from that angle. Super weird. And I saw this thing today actually with Tyler Rogers that he's going to be joining Trey Savage on that pitching staff. And if you pair those two together, Trey Savage has one of the highest release points in baseball right now with 7 feet above the ground. And then Tyler Rogers has one of the lowest. So that 1-2 combo is going to be absolutely deadly in the bullpen, especially for the Blue Jays. So that's a very smart move on like a very small, minute detail kind of standpoint, but it's a really big one that's going to be kind of interesting and kind of funny to watch. So 3 years, $37 million. I believe that averages out to around $12 million, maybe a little bit more. I think just above $12 million for Tyler Rogers. Maybe a little bit of an overpay, in my opinion, but Tyler Rogers, again, one of the more consistent relievers in baseball, and now the Blue Jays have him on their roster. Then we have the Texas Rangers made a couple big moves yesterday. They signed Danny Jansen, catcher of the Milwaukee Brewers this past season, as a backup. He signed a 2-year, $14.5 million contract. They also signed Alexis Diaz, a former All-Star reliever, and Tyler Alexander, another former Brewer. Rangers, what are you guys doing? Why are you stealing all the Brewers? I guess former Brewers. So yeah, I think getting Danny Jansen is a really good move. He showed a lot of power towards the end of the season. He can definitely be a guy that can help platoon with Kyle Higashioka, especially with Jonah Heim out of town. So yeah, I like the moves that the Rangers are making right now. We also have the Mets finally making a big move, not besides trading away Brandon Nimmo and bringing in Marcus Semien. They signed infielder Jorge Polanco on a 2-year, $40 million contract, and he is most likely going to be playing first base, second base, third base, and DH possibly as well. Jorge Polanco had a really good season with the Seattle Mariners, was an instrumental part to getting them into the playoffs and helping them advance through the playoffs as well. So really cool to see Jorge Polanco getting a bag, $20 million per year. He's going to be a really good guy that the Mets can move around the infield in several spots. Again, first base, second base, third base, and DH. Not really a shortstop anymore, even though he did come up as that, but the glove kind of has diminished, so he can definitely help kind of replace what the Mets lost with Pete Alonso at a much cheaper price tag. And then finally, earlier, about 7 hours ago, actually, the excuse me, the St. Louis Cardinals signed Dustin May to a contract. I haven't actually heard the exact terms yet. They're still having a pending physical as well. But Cardinals, Dustin May, kind of fell out of the Dodgers system. Throws really, really hard. Has battled injuries in the past, but I'm really excited to see what Dustin May can do. I really like him as a pitcher, so maybe the Cardinals can help him figure it out in St. Louis. So there you go. That is my quick little MLB offseason recap as winter meetings continue to extend on throughout the week. We'll see what other big moves are made. We still have several other big free agents out on the market still with Cody Bellinger, Kyle Tucker, so many great pitchers on the market as well. And who knows what can happen with trades. I mean, Freddie Peralta is available according to some reports, at least as a Brewers fan. Tarek Skubal, you never know what can happen with him and the Tigers. So yeah, the MLB offseason is far from over. Stay tuned for more, and I will be here reacting to those moves when they happen. Now let's go ahead and move on to some college football news. So we had the college football awards come out yesterday and today with the Heisman winner coming out today. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of read them off at this point. So we have the Maxwell Award going to the Player of the Year, which went to Fernando Mendoza. We also have the Walter Camp Award, which is for the same award, going to Fernando Mendoza as well. We have the Coach of the Year, the Home Depot Award, going to Kurt Cignetti of Indiana, helping them lead to their to the Big Ten championship. We have the Jim Thorpe Award, which goes to the best defensive back, which went to Caleb Downs of Ohio State. We have the Davey O'Brien Award going to the best quarterback, which of course went to Fernando Mendoza of Indiana. We have the Remington Award, which goes to the best center in college football, going to Logan Jones of Iowa. We have the Lou Graza Award going to the best place kicker, going to Tate Sandell of Oklahoma. We have the Butkus Award going to best linebacker and Jacob Gonzalez of Texas Tech. We have the Doak Walker Award for the best running back, going to Jeremiah Love of Notre Dame. We have the Blinkenkoff Award going to the most outstanding receiver, which was Malachi Lemon of USC. We have the John Mackey Award for the best tight end, going to Eli Stowers of Vanderbilt. We have the Outland Trophy going to the best interior offensive lineman. We have Spencer Fano of Utah. Ray Guy, the best punter. Brett Thorson of Georgia. We have the Bednarik Award, the defensive player of the year, going to Jacob Rodriguez of Texas Tech, and the Bronco Nagurski Trophy for the same award going as well to Jacob Rodriguez of Texas Tech. We have the Bullsworth Trophy for the top former walk-on going to Drew Mestamaker of North Texas. The Disney Spirit Award for most inspirational player going to Jeremiah Love of Notre Dame. The William V. Campbell Trophy for academic Heisman going to Eli Stowers of Vanderbilt. And the Werfel Troy for community service going to Michael Taffy of Texas. And finally, the Heisman Trophy went, of course, to Indiana quarterback Fernando Mendoza on his incredible season, racking up three major awards that Fernando Mendoza has won this season. So congratulations to Fernando Mendoza on his accomplishments. We'll see how he does in the college football playoffs, which, speaking of which, the college football playoff bracket has been set. We have the first games being James Madison and Oregon facing off. The winner will take on the bye winner of Texas Tech. Then we have Alabama versus Oklahoma, who will be taking on Indiana at the Rose Bowl. We have Tulane versus Ole Miss, who will be taking on Georgia in the All-State Sugar Bowl. We have Miami taking on Texas A&M, and the winner will take on the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic of Ohio State. There were some notable exceptions from this year's college football playoff bracket, which of course were Notre Dame. Obviously, not being in a conference definitely really hurt them. So obviously, not having James Madison and Tulane in are a big reason why. And other than that, BYU was not included in the college football playoff bracket as well. So yeah, very big snubs from this year's college football playoffs. Which was even more interesting is that Notre Dame also declined to play in the bowl that they were offered to as well, which is, at that point, kind of seems a little petty. But hey, I'm not a Notre Dame fan, so I really don't care that much. But if you're a Notre Dame fan, let me know down in the comments below what you thought of not being included in the college football playoff this season. Now let's move on to recapping Week 13 and Week 14 of the NFL, starting with Week 13 and the Thanksgiving games, being the Green Bay Packers playing the Detroit Lions in Detroit. The Packers would walk out of Ford Field with a 31-24 victory. Moving on, we have the Chiefs versus Cowboys in Dallas, and the Cowboys would actually stun the Chiefs 31-28 with a really big last-minute field goal by Brandon Aubrey. We have the Bengals versus Ravens in Joe Burrow's return from IR, and the Bengals head into Baltimore with a 32-14 victory over the Ravens, proving that the Ravens are still very good. Just Joe Burrow is really essential for that team, especially on offense. And we also have the other Black Friday game. We have the Bears versus the Eagles, and the Bears actually walked out of Philadelphia with a 24-15 victory over the Eagles. That Eagles offense has not been very good this season, and this was a prime example of it, going up against a Bears offense that is far and away a lot better than the Eagles. And the Bears would continue to hold on to their lead over the NFC North. Now we actually get to some Sunday games. We have the Dolphins versus Saints. The Dolphins would pick up the victory 21-17. And the Dolphins quietly have won a couple consecutive games. I believe at this point they had won 4 consecutive games. So very impressive from the Miami Dolphins. I guess what a difference firing Chris Greer can do for a team. We have the Houston Texans versus the Indianapolis Colts in Indianapolis, and the Texans would actually hold on to beat the Colts 20-16. The Colts, by far and away, probably have the best defense in the NFL right now, and the Colts actually would continue to go on a 2-game slide at this point entering Week 14. We have the Jets versus the Falcons, and the Jets would actually pick up, I believe, their 3rd win of the season, being the Jets 27-24. I believe as well Michael Penix Jr. Went down with an injury. Actually, that was last week as well. He was done for the year, but it was Tyrod Taylor once again in for the Jets. Kirk Cousins actually had a pretty solid game for the Atlanta Falcons, but Nick Folk hit a 56-yard field goal to win the game for the New York Jets, beating them 27-24 once again. The 49ers versus the Browns, it was 26-8. The 49ers got the dub easily. Panthers versus Rams, this was another big game. The Panthers in Carolina would actually upset the Rams 31-28, a huge win for the Carolina Panthers, who moved to 7-6, while the Rams were back down to 9-3, still contending with the Seattle Seahawks for the division crown. But Puka Nacua had a pretty solid game as well in that game. He's been by the way, one of the better receivers in the NFL this season. Jaguars versus the Titans. Jaguars would pick up the victory 25-3. Buccaneers versus Cardinals. The Buccaneers, even though beat up, still picked up the victory 20-17 over the Cardinals. Seahawks versus Vikings. I believe Max Brosmer was making his NFL debut, and it was not very pretty for him. He threw 4 interceptions, and the Seahawks picked up the victory 26-0 over the Vikings, who actually went down to 4-8. The Bills versus the Steelers went to the Bills 26-7. I'm pretty sure Aaron Rodgers got hurt in this game, if I am not mistaken. Yes, I was right. Mason Rudolph had to come in for Aaron Rodgers. We also have the Raiders versus the Chargers. The Chargers picked up the victory 31-14 over the Raiders. Broncos versus Commanders into overtime on Sunday Night Football. The Broncos held on to beat the Commanders 27-26 with a incredible catch made by, I believe that was, hang on one second, I gotta find his name real quick, because I was talking with one of my friends, and we had no idea who this guy was, but when we heard his name, we were like, what? It was Treylon Burks actually made a really good catch for the Washington Commanders, a really incredible catch, but was not enough to get the victory over the Denver Broncos. And finally, Monday Night Football between the Patriots and the Giants. The Patriots picked up the victory 33-15. Now moving on to Week 14, we have the Lions and Cowboys on Thursday Night Football. The Lions scored 44 points on the Cowboys. It was a victory 44-30 over the Cowboys in Detroit. Titans versus Browns. The Titans picked up another victory this year. I believe this was their second one, this time over the Browns, moving to 2-11, 31-29 over the Cleveland Browns. I believe Shedeur Sanders had a pretty solid game. He did as well. He had 23 for 42, 364 yards, 3 touchdowns, and an interception in a game where I believe as well, Quinshon Judkins did not have a very good game. I mean, Shedeur Sanders was the leading rusher for the Cleveland Browns. So Shedeur Sanders might be the franchise quarterback for the Cleveland Browns going forward. Seahawks versus Falcons. Seahawks walked away with the victory 37-9 over the Falcons. Colts versus Jaguars. Colts now have lost 3 straight games, losing 36-19 in this game as well. Daniel Jones went down with a torn Achilles. He will be out for 6 to 8 months after getting surgery, I believe, earlier today. The Colts also signed Phillip Rivers for the remaining of the rest of the season. So that is an interesting storyline to watch out for. I know I'm kind of glossing over it, and I probably should focus more on it, and so I guess I will here. But Phillip Rivers is going to be 44 years old, coming in to start for the Indianapolis Colts. Will he be enough to lead them into the postseason? I don't know. It's really going to have to rely on Jonathan Taylor, and I think if Phillip Rivers can just be a game manager, I think the Colts have a pretty good chance of moving on into the playoffs and hopefully beating some of the other teams in that AFC South for the division. We have the Vikings versus Commanders, and the Vikings, after getting shut out this past weekend against the Seattle Seahawks. J.J. McCarthy returned and threw 3 touchdowns, while Jane Daniels was also back for this week, but had to exit early with another injury to his elbow. I believe he aggravated it, which at this point, why is Jane Daniels out there? It doesn't make sense when he's hurt. He dislocated his left elbow. I think you just got to let him rest and let him heal before you can throw him back in. And the Commanders, well, out of playoff contention at this point, so might as just well rest Jane Daniels at this point. The Bills versus the Bengals. The Bengals controlled this game for quite a while, but the Bills ended up coming back to win 39-34 over the Bengals. Joe Burrow threw a pretty embarrassing interception where just try to float it over the Bills' defensive line, but ended up not working, ended up getting picked off, and ended up being a pick 6. Then we have another surprising game, the Saints versus the Buccaneers in Tampa Bay, and the Saints actually picked up the victory 24-20, a narrow victory over the Buccaneers. And the Buccaneers, again, getting beat up, having so many injuries is definitely very, very tough. They are now down to 7-6. I do believe the Carolina Panthers did lose their game as well. Where are the Panthers? Oh, did they have a bye? I think they did have a bye this week. Yeah. I think the Panthers had a bye this week. Okay. Now we have the Steelers versus the Ravens. Aaron Rodgers was back for this game. He led the way for the Steelers, winning 27-22 over the Ravens. Good effort, though, by Lamar Jackson and company. Dolphins versus Jets. Dolphins picked up the victory 34-10. Broncos versus Raiders. A game that was a lot closer than it needed to be, in my opinion. It was a 24-17 victory for the Broncos. Rams versus Cardinals. The Rams picked up the victory 45-17. Puka Nacua made an incredible catch in this game for a touchdown. Was very, very good. And then you have the Packers versus the Bears. The Packers picked up another victory by 7 points, beating the Bears 28-21. And then you have the Texans versus the Chiefs. And again, the Texans limited the Chiefs only to 10 points. They are probably the best defense in the NFL. That is very surprising. And the Chiefs actually are now down to 6-7. Dang it. Yeah, so 6-7 for the Chiefs. And right now they're looking at not being in the playoffs come the start of the playoffs. That's insane to think about. Just incredible. And then you have the Chargers versus the Eagles on Monday Night Football. Went into overtime. The Chargers walked out of the game with a 22-19 victory, improving to 9-4. Man, kind of a snooze fest overall. I mean, Eagles defense did all they could, but their offense, again, just can't keep up. Eagles offense might be cooked, even though A.J. Brown and Saquon Barkley both had really good games. Jalen Hurts, though, 4 interceptions. My goodness. What are we doing? Jalen Hurts, 4 interceptions. I guess that's why they lost. You can't give your opponent 4 extra possessions. You never win when you do that, especially in the NFL. So there you go. That is your Week 13 and Week 14 recap. We have Week 15 starting up tomorrow. Actually, we had Thursday Night Football between the Falcons and the Buccaneers, which the Falcons did win 29-28 with a game-winning field goal. So tough game for the Buccaneers. They moved to 7-7. Definitely not what they want to see, as their division is going to continue to be extremely, extremely close. So stay tuned tomorrow. We have a ton of great games on hand for you guys. Eagles versus, actually, that's not a great game. Chargers versus Chiefs is going to be a really good game. Bills versus the Patriots. Bengals versus Ravens, I think, will be a really good one. We have, let's see, the Panthers are going to be in a very big game. Colts, Phillip Rivers return to the NFL versus the Seahawks. Lions versus Rams is going to be really, really good. Packers versus Broncos. I think Vikings versus Cowboys, I think, could be a really interesting game. The Cowboys defense is not very good, but the Vikings offense is not very good either. But maybe we'll see how that game goes. So stay tuned tomorrow. We have several great games on hand. So hope you guys enjoy those tomorrow. And I will be back sometime later this week with a Week 15 recap as well. Real quick before we move on to the final segment of today's show, we do have to look at the NFL playoff picture. Starting out with the AFC, we have the division leaders of the New England Patriots, the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Jacksonville Jaguars, and the Denver Broncos. And the wild card spots right now are currently held up by the Buffalo Bills at 9-4, the LA Chargers at 9-4 as well. And then right now, the Texans are in over the Indianapolis Colts. Both are tied at 8-5, but the Texans do have the tiebreaker over the Colts. The Colts are the first team out. Then you have the, I believe, the Baltimore Ravens, then the Kansas City Chiefs, and the Miami Dolphins at 6-7 as well. You have 3 teams at 6-7 in the AFC who are all looking into the playoffs right now. If I had to guess, I would say the Colts are the really big contender right now, but the Ravens are extremely dangerous. They have Lamar Jackson. They have Derrick Henry. That offense is going to be very, very good. Their defense has really stepped up as of late. That AFC North Division 2 is wide open. So Steelers could be a contender down the line as well as we get further into the season. And I think we've all know at this point we can't count out the Kansas City Chiefs, even though their record has not been very good so far this season. And in the NFC, you have the division leaders of the Eagles, the Packers at 9-3-1. The Panthers right now are leading over the Buccaneers. Granted, they have played one less game than the Buccaneers. And you have the Rams beating the Seahawks at 10-3. Even though they are tied, the Rams do have the tiebreaker. And then you have the wild card spots right now. You have the Chicago Bears, then the Seattle Seahawks, the 49ers, and I think those are the 3 wild card spots right now. Those are the current ones that are filled up. And right now, they're the outside teams looking in. You have the Detroit Lions at 8-5. That is insane to think about, that the Lions at 8-5 may not make the playoffs. incredible. The Buccaneers at 7-7, the Cowboys at 6-1, and then you have the looking at the rest. I think it's just those three teams are the teams that are looking in to make the playoffs potentially. So Eagles, Packers, Panthers, and Rams, with the Seahawks, 49ers, and the Bears all in wildcard spots. And then the Cowboys, Lions, Buccaneers, and I think those are just the only two. Buccaneers, Cowboys, and Lions. Those are the three teams that are currently looking in to potentially make a run at a wildcard spot heading into Week 15 of the NFL season. But now, to wrap up this episode of Talking Sports, we are bringing back our favorite segment here on the show. It's QAQB. Now, for this week's QAQB, being the first time back, I have a very interesting one this week that you guys may not really agree with at all. So, this week's QAQB is going to be Patrick Mahomes, the quarterback of the Kansas City Chiefs. No, I'm not saying that for this week's QAQB that Patrick Mahomes is a bad quarterback, because obviously he's not. I mean, his stats right now, he has a 63 completion percentage. He has thrown for over almost actually 4,000 yards this season, which it will be the first time he's done that since 2023. Already has 22 touchdowns, does have 10 interceptions, and a rating of 91.2. But right now, I think we may be seeing that the Chiefs, he may be the reason for the regression of the Chiefs. I mean, the Chiefs' defense has been pretty good these past couple seasons, and this year it's been no different. Their defense has gotten some big stops for them. But on offense, things haven't been going as smoothly. Now, it's hard to place all the blame on Patrick Mahomes. I get that. The receivers that he has are less than ideal, to say the least. I mean, Rashee Rice has been unavailable most of the time for various reasons. Xavier Worthy, last year's first-round pick for the Chiefs, has not lived up to the hype as a first-round wide receiver. I know Travis Kelce has been a reliable option in possibly his final season in the NFL at the tight end position, but Travis Kelce can only do so much. You do need a wide receiver to help out that team and Patrick Mahomes as well. Besides that, Juju Smith-Schuster is far away from being what he used to be as an NFL wide receiver. Hollywood Brown has been extremely disappointing. Tyquan Thornton, I mean, I didn't even know he existed until like first week of the season. I didn't even know he existed. So, yeah, the Chiefs, a lack of wide receivers will definitely do that for a team. But just looking across the board, some of the numbers for Patrick Mahomes are not as really good. I mean, he's had to do a lot of work this season. I mean, he already has 22 touchdowns this season. But again, that 63% completion rating is 4% points down from last season, in a year when the Chiefs did win the Super Bowl. And going back to 2022, looking at some of the numbers, they've steadily gone down for Patrick Mahomes. I mean, in 2022, he had a completion rate percentage of 67. Sorry, I just hit my mic there, guys. Sorry. He had over 5,000 yards, which is incredible. He also threw for 41 touchdowns and 12 interceptions with a rating of 105. In 2023, he had a similar completion percentage at 67.2. He threw for over 4,000 yards, so definitely a little bit of a drop off. Threw for 27 touchdowns and 14 interceptions with a rating of 92. And then in 2024, a year where they won the Super Bowl, he had a completion percentage of 67.5, so actually had a better completion percentage by just a slim margin. Threw for almost 4,000 yards, 3,900 yards overall, 26 touchdowns and 11 interceptions with a rating of 93. And so far this season, though, he only has a 63% completion percentage with 3,398 yards. So more passing yards. However, 22 touchdowns. Man, I couldn't say 22 for a second. And then 10 interceptions. So the interceptions are definitely going up for Patrick Mahomes, with a rating of only 91.2. So those are his numbers, and I would say that may be a big reason to why the Chiefs are struggling, because Patrick Mahomes has not been as good as he's been in years past. I mean, he has steadily declined since 2022, which was probably his best season. I mean, his rating has gone down. It did go back up a little bit in 2024, but it has taken another pretty significant dip down 2 points, which may not seem like a lot, but 2% rating is definitely something to watch out for heading into the next season. So the Chiefs may want to look at Patrick Mahomes, maybe not as necessarily a GOAT quarterback, maybe necessarily, but he may just have gone back to being slightly above average. Now, I've seen that take around here. I'm not sure if I really agree with that. I think that Patrick Mahomes, still with almost 4,000 yards, is still very, very good, but he may not just be that elite quarterback that we've seen. He's still very, very good, but he's not in his own tier anymore. So that's something that we really have to consider when we're looking at the Chiefs and see, oh, wow, they're not in the playoffs right now. They're maybe going to be lucky to get a wild card spot. So that may be something to think about. Those are my questions about quarterbacks this week, Patrick Mahomes. So let me know down in the comments what you think of this week's QAQB. Do you agree with me? Do you not agree? Let me know down in the comment section below. But that will do it for me, everybody. Hope you enjoyed this episode. Covered a lot of ground. It's been a little while, but I'm glad I got it done in under an hour. I think that's a good job by me. I'm going to give myself a little pat on the back. I don't know. I know you guys probably can't hear that, but I am giving myself a pat on the back at this current moment. So thank you all for tuning in. I will see you in the next episode of Talking Sports or whatever show I do. And I'll see you then. Have a great rest of your weekend. We'll see you then.